Good afternoon, all you Illinois FFA followers out there. My name is Dr. Andy Baker, and I'm a professor of agricultural education at Western Illinois University. I'm also the director of the School of Agriculture here at Western. I'm completing my 21st year at Western, and I've completed my 23rd year in teacher preparation. Tell you a little bit about my past and how I got to where I am at today, I think is important. Even though my journey has had many curves, starting out when I graduated high school, when I was 18, my mom told me I'd be a great ag teacher because of my passion for the FFA, and I was very active in my chapter back in Northwest Missouri. Um, I decided to pursue something different when I graduated high school, and for many people do not know that I do have an Associate of Science degree. Um, I attended Missouri Western State College in St. Joseph, Missouri, and got a 2 year degree. After graduating there, I decided to pursue a blue collar job, and I was a metal fabricator for about 18 months at a company called Altech. So I took my high school FFA skills in welding and was a metal fabricator for a company up in St. Joseph, Missouri for about 18 months. After maturing and reaching the age of 22, I decided that I should listen to my mother and pursue something a little bit different. And so I went to the University of Missouri to get my bachelor's degree in agricultural education. After about 2 years at the University of Missouri, I graduated, and I was able to find a position really close to home in Northwest Missouri. And I was a high school ag teacher, and at that time I was a bachelor. And as many of us that are single and just joining the profession, I put everything I had to in the program. And after a couple of years, I did meet my wife of today of 28 years, and we decided that our journeys would take us somewhere else. And at that time, we got married, and we went to back to the University of Missouri, where she became an occupational therapist, and I actually took a job in the USDA system. So I left teaching for several years, and at my USDA position, many of you probably have pollinated corn or detasseled corn. That was my job at the University of Missouri, and I was working with three USDA ARS scientists working on stalk and root strength, corn borer, and corn rootworm. And I was a field technician for one of the scientists working in corn rootworm, and I did that for 3 summers. So all of you that went out there and pollinated corn in those hot, wet summer months, I did that for 3 months. But I had the wonderful opportunity to have some tuition waivers as a state employee in the state of Missouri, and I was able to get a 75% tuition waivers, and so I started taking classes at night, still thinking that I was going to go back to the classroom. So I got my master's in agricultural education as well. At the end of that program, and my wife graduated from her degree, she said, "Why don't I just quit that job and go back to school full time?" And I had about 12 hours left of my master's, and so I went back to school full time to get that done. And at the end of that, that was in the fall, and when I graduated that December, she says, "Well, why don't you apply for the PhD program?" Never thought that that's what I really wanted to do, and so I did apply, and they accepted me. And so after graduating from my master's, I went right into my PhD program. After doing that, I graduated, and my first job out of my graduate degree was at Murray State down in Murray, Kentucky, and I was down there for 2 years. That put us the furthest away from home that we'd ever been, which is about 8 hours driving. And so, 2 years being at Murray, I decided to apply for the job at Western Illinois. And at that time, that was one job that was open, and it was closer to home. Plus, my wife had some relatives in Illinois around the Bloomington area, and so I applied for it and was able to secure that position, and I've been in that position for almost 22 years. Uh, so it's been, a very curvy type journey, but I finally have found my home. Uh, Western Illinois has been very good to me, not only personally but professionally as well. I've raised all my kids here, and so I do have 4 children. Uh, my oldest son has a job in Chicago, but he's been displaced and is now living at home and working his job in our basement of our home right now. So he's been home now for about 7 weeks and doing his job in our basement. My second son is a communication major here at Western. He's an RA. He'll be graduating this December. My wife decided to go back to school. She's a leatherneck as well. She's in the nursing program here at Western. She'll be graduating next spring, so in the spring of 2021. My third son is a Marine, and he is in St. Angelos, Texas, at an Air Force base there, getting training in fire and aviation safety. So he's down there currently, and he's pretty well quarantined to base. He's been down there for about 2.5 months, hasn't been able to leave the base based upon the virus. So he's down there, and then my youngest is a daughter, and she's 15, freshman in high school. And so not all of my kids have had the opportunity to study agriculture. My oldest, we just started a new program here at Macomb High, and he'd already graduated by the time we got that program started. My other 2 boys were in the FFA here in Macomb, and my daughter has decided that's not for her at the moment, but she still has a couple more years to see if she wants to be able to pursue that or not. Both my wife and I were very active FFA members in high school. She's probably got more accolades than I do. She would have been a section officer here in Illinois. Missouri is a little bit different than Illinois, but they both have section officers. She was able to do that. I never did that, but she did. She was homecoming queen, and also what they would call barn warming. I'm not sure how many of you actually have barn warming dances, but back in the day we did have that, and that's where the consumer science students and the FFA students got together and had their own dance. So she was very active as well. We actually have all 3 of her FFA jackets at home, and my mom gave all 3 of mine away after I graduated high school. So when I was really young, I did want to pursue farming, but if anybody knows the early 80s, it wasn't a really good time to get into farming, and so education just seemed to be the right fit as I pursued more education as I got older. So anyway, I have some set questions, and I'll try to answer those as well. But one of the questions is, how did you decide that your university was the one for you, and how do you recommend students make that decision? I recommend do a lot of exploring. You really never know the right university until you get out and explore your options. I think everybody in Illinois has a wonderful opportunity to seek out several different options for an advanced degree after high school. We have large institutions, we have small institutions. There's a variety of opportunities for all the students. My wish is that we would just keep more Illinois students in Illinois to study. I think there's a lot of different programs in all the different institutions. Yes, we have some overlap, but we do have some unique characteristics about each one of us. For us, we have a 77-acre organic farm that's been chemical-free since 1959, so that's a unique perspective that we've got. And so we try to educate our students on both the conventional sides of farming as well as the organic side of farming. And we've had several students who have graduated out of our program that have converted conventional acres into organic acres. And kind of the neat thing over here the last 8 years or so, I've had a lot of my ag ed students work at the Allison Organic Farm. and have picked up a lot of great skills of having the opportunity to work there over the summer. So Western provides kind of a big field, little field kind of opportunity for our students. We are certainly in the middle of nowhere. We are certainly an institution between the corn and soybean fields in west central Illinois. You do have to understand that you're in a rural community, and so there's not necessarily. We do have our Starbucks. Matter of fact, we're going to get our second one starting this fall, but there's not all that many, what I would say, Texas roadhouses and franchise things like that. But we do have a lot of local restaurants. We do have our wonderful Walmart and things of that nature. But you are in a rural setting, and you have to be prepared for that. One of the biggest things that's why I went to Missouri Western State College in St. Joe. It was a smaller institution. I thought I would do a lot better in a smaller environment, but when I turned 22, I decided to take that big step and go to the University of Missouri, which was certainly much larger. When I made that step, I didn't know anybody there. I didn't have any friends there. I didn't have anybody from my graduating class there. So that was a big step for me to take the plunge. And for me, it worked out really well. A lot of my classes transferred, and I was able to get in and out of University of Missouri in 2 years and still find employment close to home. So it all kind of works out, but you really need to explore your options, and you really need to be able to see yourself at that institution thriving and blossoming and taking advantage of all the opportunities presented to you, whatever institution you go to. But I think Illinois, more so than a lot of our bordering states, you have a lot more opportunities to explore colleges of agriculture in the state of Illinois and be able to see those differences and where you may be able to fit in when you're deciding on what you're going to pursue and what institution you're going to pursue. So get out there, make those college visits. Those are really, really important. So make sure that you do that. So one of the questions also is, what type of academic programs and majors does the School of Agriculture at Western hold? We're a little bit different. We have a comprehensive degree program, so everybody graduates with a Bachelor's of Science in Agriculture, but we have 3 degree options or pathways that you can follow once you become a major here. So the first degree option is Ag Business, the second one is Ag Science, and the third one is Agricultural Education. So the Ag Ed degree option is very restrictive. You have a set amount of classes that you have to take, not only to graduate with your degree, but also for your Illinois state teaching license. So it's really restrictive. You have to get your C- grade in order for you to continue as an Ag Ed major. As all institutions in Illinois require that for your teaching license. So that's something that you need to be able to work on. If you're still interested in Ag Ed, they've dropped the SAT requirement for your entrance to get into teacher ed, which was good news for all of us. It was at 22, and now they've dropped that. There's certainly things that you've got to be able to pass, like your content test in agriculture. You got to be able to pass that. And right now they've waived the EdTPA just for the spring of 2020 graduates. They're going to implement that back for the fall of 2020, so that will be back in place for this fall. But they've been kind of slow at getting what's going to happen for the spring of 2020 grads, but I think it's best for everybody that we put everything off kind of on hold a little bit for this group that's coming out this spring, because we have about 2,000 plus potential new teachers that's coming out of this group, and certainly Illinois school districts need those new teachers, and so they're going to be able to find jobs for the fall of 20 and be able to start their teaching careers, which I think is in the best interest of everybody. So anyway, we're moving on with that. The Ag Business degree option is probably the most flexible. the School of Agriculture resides in a College of Business and Technology, and that's a little different than most, but it works for us because we do have departments in our college that is accounting, finance, marketing, management, supply chain, things of that nature, that our students can easily take classes from there and kind of tailor their ag business degree option the way they want it to. So if they're more interested in the lending side, so they can go more on the finance side. If they're more interested in the accounting and doing the book work for a company, they can certainly go that route. The students that are interested in commodity trading, certainly supply chain is a great minor to attach to your ag business degree. So there's a lot of options out there for that. For the ag science, all of our science programs fall underneath that. So agronomy, soil science, animal science, our horticulture program, all of those fit under that ag science degree option. And that's kind of in the middle of the road. So it's not as restrictive, but it's not as flexible as the ag business, and it's certainly less restrictive than the ag ed. So when we're looking at that, students have the variety of kind of tailoring their degree program on what they want to be able to pursue. So a lot of times students ask about ag communications and do we have a degree, and we don't, because we only have one degree here that students can get. But most of our ag communication students go with the ag business degree option and then take several communication classes from the communication department to kind of tailor what they want to be able to pursue. So with that comprehensive degree program, all students have to take a plethora of courses. So you take an ag business, some ag mech, some horde classes, so that you get kind of a comprehensive degree program that you're taking classes just about from all the programs here. So I think that's important. So we also have 10 minors. I was kind of surprised about a couple years ago when somebody asked how many of our students, our ag majors, actually pursued a minor, and about 73% of them do. For some of our students, it may be an excuse just to stay a little bit longer, an extra semester at Western, because they really do enjoy that college life. But 73 is a very large number, and I didn't realize on how many of our students actually pursued minors, but they do. So for a lot of our students, if they have a true interest in animal science, they can get that animal science minor. Okay, so that's kind of how we set up there. We also have 17 student clubs, and so it seems like each year we keep adding another one, so it keeps growing. But there's a lot of activities that students can get involved with on weekly, daily basis. And if anybody's ever interested in seeing what we're doing, our Facebook, our Twitter account, our Instagram's constantly informing everybody out there that follows us what we're doing on a weekly basis. Certainly, the last 6 weeks have been really slow around here. We've had to cancel numerous events, things of that nature, but we are planning on hopefully being face-to-face in the fall. Nobody's made that decision as of yet, but we're constantly discussing those issues every day here at WIU. Our summer schedule is certainly all online this summer. And for those of you that are high school seniors, planning on possibly coming to Western, or maybe juniors or whatever, I would encourage you to take an online summer class to lock in this year's tuition before you come in the fall. And you can do that. So what you would do is, by taking one class this summer online, you will lock in this year's tuition rate. And Western always increases tuition if they're going to for the fall semester. So there's some options out there for you. Even as juniors, you can think about that next summer, just if you're planning on transferring or not. So our department's really made up of about 60% transfer students and about 40% what we call new freshmen, incoming students. So still our bread and butter, our transfer students. So again, we have students from all across Illinois transferring from Lincoln Land, Lakeland, Black Hawk, John Wood, Spoon River, Joliet Junior College, all of those different community colleges out there. Students come from all over. We have a nationally recognized livestock judging team, which brings students from all across the country to our department. So we get students from California, Kentucky, Indiana, Wisconsin, Michigan, and our students come here for that judging program. And certainly that was cut short this spring as well. But we do truly appreciate what our judging team does for us and what it does for recruitment. We're always in the top 10 each year, and they do an outstanding job. But we also have a nationally recognized weeds team where they're constantly on the road and being in competitions. We have an active PAS organization, Collegiate Farm Bureau, of course. We got Hoof and Horn. We have 3 Greek organizations, Sigma Alpha, AGR, and AGS. So we have those organizations if you're interested in the Greek side of things, if you want to, but there's got to be a club out there that you'd be interested that you could find your niche here at Western. Scholarship opportunities. We have scholarships at the university, college, and departmental level. The university scholarships generally are for incoming freshmen. I do highly encourage you to apply for that. It's one form that you fill out, kind of like the National FFA scholarship, where you fill out one form and then you're be told exactly what scholarships you qualify for. That deadline is usually like mid-February, and so for you seniors next year, make sure that you get your scholarship form in by February 15th next year. So we do have some scholarships that are offered in the College of Business and Technology as well as the department for students to apply for. We have 2 deadlines. One's going to be in September when students get back, and when our deadline for the spring scholarships was last Friday. So we'll have those coming in as well. Class sizes, typically in our department, class sizes are anywhere from 15 to 30 students. Probably our largest one would probably have 70 students in it, and that's usually our intro to soil science or our intro to agronomy class. Typically is where we see large numbers there, intro to animal science as well. So those type of classes generally have our highest enrollments. So our largest classroom in our building here in Kanawha Hall is 72 seats. So that'll be our biggest classroom that we typically reserve here. 50% of our classes have a lab associated with it, so it's really important that you have the hands-on practical aspect of putting in those newfound skills into practice. And so the intro to animal science class, if we go castrate hogs, we're going to go out and castrate hogs, and we're going to give iron shots, we're going to dock tails, we're going to do those type of things in that lab. So for our intro to agronomy, we actually have what we call a world's crop nursery. So we grow crops from all around the world, so you can actually see the crop and not in a PowerPoint slide. So we're growing crops such as tobacco, cotton, and sugar beets, and a variety of other things that we have growing on the farm that students can actually see the crop for the fall. And typically we will plant corn in August so that when the students come in the fall, you can see the different stages of corn. So that's really important for us. So our intro to agronomy class, 13 of the 16 labs are at the farm. So that's really important that we use the farm as our educational laboratory. We do have 3 state-of-the-art greenhouses out there. One of them is just for coursework, and the other 2 are for research. We were very fortunate just last fall to get a $10 million grant to commercialize pennycress. Most producers out there are trying to kill that plant, but we're going to try to commercialize that plant. Pennycress is a high oil content seed, which is going to be crushed for the aviation industry. So now the aviation industry is going to have to use some kind of biofuel into their industry, and so pennycress will be that biofuel for aviation fuel. So hopefully in the next 5 years we'll be able to have enough farmers grow that crop that will be able to sustain a new industry in this country. And it all stimulated right here at WIU, where we've been researching that plant now for about 8 years. So a lot of things happening that maybe people don't recognize of what we're doing in this department as far as research, but all of our faculty have some kind of research duty or task that they must sustain as a faculty member. So that's important. Also, we do a commodity training activity with their students, which the simulated commodity training. And 3 years ago, we were in the top 3%, made it in the top 10%. So the top 10 got to go to a second round or the final round. And we ended up getting 18th in the world. There was over 530 schools that participated at the beginning, and we ended up being 18th. And there, out of those top 18 schools, only 5 of them were American schools, so the rest of them were international schools. So just last year, not this year, but last year, we ended up in the top 18%. So hands-on experience is something that we really pride ourselves on. That one-on-one connection with our students is always important to us too. So the faculty that want to teach in the School of Agriculture at Western really truly want to be teachers and educators, and they work really hard to be good quality instructors. And so that's important to us, and those are the faculty that we're truly looking for. But certainly our faculty that we've hired over the last 5 years, more and more of them are writing grants to be able to secure undergraduate students to do their research. And one of the things that we've been pushing pretty hard here at this institution is having our students present at Undergraduate Research Day, which is held in April, and that did not happen this year. But there's only one department on campus that beats us in the number of submissions to that Undergraduate Research Day, and that's chemistry. So we're the second highest department as far as number of projects submitted each year. So that's something that we take a lot of pride in, and I think is really important too. Favorite things about campus: I'm step away from anything. I'm steps away from the football field, which is awesome. I'm steps away from the University Union. I'm steps away from my truck that I can get into every day. So the close proximity of campus is really important to me. I'm minutes away from home. So convenience is one of those things that I really like about campus here. So I've had some of my own sons live on campus. They've been a part of that as well. So I told you, as my oldest student, or my oldest son, graduated several years ago, but he graduated out of this department, and now he's working for a company in Chicago. So that's important to me too. Not all of my offspring are going to pursue agriculture, but one thing that I tried to instill in them is work hard, good work ethic, and you should be able to land a job anywhere. So I think that's incredibly important too. So what makes our university unique? We lock in tuition for all 4 years. So what you pay your first semester, your freshman year, is what you pay your last semester, senior year. So we lock in tuition, which all institutions have to do, public institutions. But we also lock in fees, which could go up each year, and we also lock in room and board as well. So we also have a commitment scholarship. If you have a certain high school GPA and a certain SAT score, you're guaranteed so many dollars over the life or your duration here at Western. So those dollars are guaranteed to you for all 4 years. There's only 2 strings attached to that. One is that you got to maintain a 3.0 GPA, and the other string is that you got to live on campus in our residential halls. However, a lot of the departmental scholarships kind of kick in your junior and senior year, so if you want to live off campus, that commitment scholarship goes away, but you can also probably get some additional scholarships within the department or college that may be able to take the place of those commitment dollars if you're interested in that. So there's some options there for you as well. So also what I love about this university, it's a Division I sports, so we get to see a lot of good athletic events, and I don't have to spend half my day trying to get to the stadium. I can park in my own lot and walk to the stadium, and I'm there. So I get to see a lot of good sports. Also, one of the things, I've been here for 21 years, and our student athletes are student athletes. I've had, I think, one bad student athlete in the 21 years that I've been here. Our athletes inform us about their activities and athletic events, and so we know up front what they're going to do. And they work very well with us as far as faculty about what's going on. Our ag students, I love them to pieces because they know how to work. If we ask them to volunteer for an event, they're here at 6 a.m. if they need to be. And so one person had asked me, who are we trying to recruit? In one word, that hustler. That student that's not afraid to get up at 6 a.m. on a Saturday morning and volunteer for an event such as a judging contest or anything like that. Our students know that they got to work hard once they get here, but they know they're going to get the respect from the faculty when they do that. So all those things are really important to us, and so we're really looking for that student that is going to embrace their new chapter in their life by coming to Western. And typically when you get done, you know everybody in Kanawha Hall as you pass them in the hallways between classes. It's a very small, tight-knit group. So by the time you graduate after 4 years, you'll probably know everybody's name. Maybe not the freshman class, but you will certainly get to know a lot of people. So I think those are some of the important parts of locking in tuition fee, room and board, and the commitment scholarship is certainly important as well. So those are important. Best contact person, I put up my email, and I also put up Ember Keithley's email. She's our academic advisor. So that's another key, unique part of this institution is we have central advising. So we have one academic advisor for all ag majors. Her name is Ember Keithley. Her email's up there right now. I didn't put up her phone right now. You could call the phone and somebody will answer, but the best way during this sheltered home situation is send Ember an email and she'll respond. She's been nationally recognized for her academic advising. We're very blessed that she's a part of our department and advises our students very well. And that's the beauty of having central advising. If I don't see you in class, I'm probably going to call Ember because you probably won't answer my phone call, but you're probably going to answer a phone call from Ember. And so that connection that we have with Ember and the faculty and the students really does help out. I think that makes it a world of difference. So am I a believer at Western? Yes, I am. I will probably keep my fingers crossed, 3 of my family, immediate family, that will be WIU grads. And I've got a true leatherneck in my Marine son. So I don't know where my daughter's going to go at the moment. We'll see what happens in 3 years when she becomes a senior in high school. But we're a true leatherneck family here, and will continue to be. So there's true connection for our family there. As far as the Ag Ed program goes, it's me. I'm the sole faculty member here. So I'm wearing both hats, being the director of the School of Agriculture and also teaching all the Ag Ed courses and doing all the student teacher visits. I also go out and see first year teachers as well. So I'm on the road quite a bit and keeps me busy. And that's important to me. So I know we've been going on about 34 minutes here, so I can probably wrap it up. If there are any questions out there, you can give them to me now. I think I answered the one question that is up on the chat panel, but I've been asked one bit of advice. My advice is go to class, don't skip, don't miss a class, because you'll never know who you're going to meet, or you'll never know what you're going to actually, what little bit of knowledge or tidbit of knowledge you're going to learn that day in class. I think it's really, really important. And so, even in this strange time that we're in, uh, this has forced me to use technology more so than ever before. And it's given my ag ed students an opportunity that they'll never have before. So, they're learning how to teach online as well. So, all of my students are learning how to do voice over PowerPoints, how to use Google Hangouts, how to use Zoom, all of that, and they've really truly been excelling at it. I've been very blessed to see my students grow and see how they're going to be good, effective teachers using via distance learning. So it's been really fun to watch. But one quote that I always kind of center my life around as a professional is students may not always remember what they were taught, but they will always remember how they were treated. And I think that's important to me. My students know that, and when they graduate, they'll get a plaque with that saying on it. And as I tell them, they need to have that in their office, so when they come to work every day and have that opportunity to train young minds, that they remember that quote each and every day. So it doesn't look like, well, maybe I do. Maybe I need to scroll down a little bit more and maybe see we've got something. Living options. Luke's out there saying, what are the living options? We've got several different residential halls that you can choose from. This past year, we used to have a North Quad, which was all for freshmen. Now we've mixed the freshmen in with upperclassmen, and they can live with sophomores and juniors. We do have a graduate student residential hall, so it's an older residential hall for some of the older students. So that's an option too. But there's a lot of different learning environments. Plus, this past year, we established a living learning community for just agriculture majors. So we had a male floor and a female floor this past year, and we had a really good response on that for our first year. And so one of the things I did this past year is I had dinner with everybody from that living learning community, and I learned a lot from them. You know, some of the things that they really liked and some of the things that they'd like to change, and so I took that to heart. One of the things I'm going to try to do this year is try to have each and every faculty member within the School of Ag have dinner with this group all next year, so I'm trying to work on that. But we have several different living options. As a freshman, you do have to live on campus until you secured 60 hours. After 60 hours, you can live off campus into apartments or other type of living if you want to, but it is mandated until you get 60 hours. So after your sophomore year, you can live off campus. Let's see what else I got up here. Talked about the student organizations. What is your favorite event, Western? Oh, my favorite event. Well, we always have an Ag Expo that we have conducted. This year was its 50th annual event, so the Ag Expo is a 2-day event that we have ag vendors come in and take over the basketball arena. This past year, it was also our 100th year as a academic department here on campus, so we had a 100-year banquet back in February, and that was awesome. It was, I would say we had close to 250 people there. It was a very large event where we recognized 10 distinguished alumni out of our School of Agriculture, so that was a really fun event to be a part of. Had my family there, which was really important because, like I said, my oldest son graduated out of this department. He came back, and then my wife and my other son was also there. Both of them going to be future leathernecks once they graduate this December and in the spring next year. Riley Hinchy says Ember is awesome. I'll ditto that. Richard also says Ember is amazing. Ditto, ditto. And I see my hook, and it says, thanks, Dr. Baker. Great from hearing you from today. That is my hook, so I'm going to sign off. Thank you all for participating. Let me know if you've got any further questions. My email is up on the chat room. Thanks, and stay safe. Stay healthy.